scan across the northern shore. And maybe the haze will have lifted a little bit by then, and we'll be able to pick out some of the items on the northern shore just a little bit better. I want to step through the book of Mark from there and just follow Jesus' movement around the lake. So that's what we'll do up there. Mark gives us three different events that take place on the lake. And the first event is the calming of the sea. And of course, that's the one we know the best. And so we do have some good winds that can come up on the lake here. Generally, we have this western wind that we've been feeling every night. So this is the prevailing western wind. We're not sure exactly what the direction of the wind is going to be. I've experienced, very strong northeastern winds. I guess we should ask these men who run the boats what winds bother them. But I've experienced very strong winds coming out of the northeast, and this can be very disruptive. I think that perhaps one of the storms that we see on the sea in the Gospels is one of those northeastern storms. But let's take a look just for a moment at the storm at sea for its literary character. The storm at sea is going to use the word great 3 times. So it's going to say that there was a great storm, there was a great calm, and there was a great fear. Now, good English is going to render that differently. It's going to say there's a furious storm. There was, everything was perfectly calm, something like this. They're going to, the translators of the NIV managed to get rid of these so that if you're reading the NIV, you're not going to pick up this great, great, great. When I hear great, 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 being one who has read a lot of, Hebrew Bible, I immediately think of Jonah chapter 1. Jonah chapter 1, there's a great city, there's great sin, there's going to be, I don't know that it says great storm, but it speaks about it's either great wind or great storm, and I'm not going to take the time to look now. And we're going to have, the storm stop, and then we're going to have great fear, so the same response. There's enough greats in that chapter 1 so that you're constantly hearing great, 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 great. And Mark, I think, does this. Mark is often giving us hints of texts from the Hebrew Scriptures, wanting us to look back there. So then you start comparing the two texts. You say, well, what are the parallels between them? And yes, we have 2 different bodies of water, 2 different sizes of boats, 2 different sizes of storms even. But it doesn't matter. Life's, the lives of those who are involved are in danger. In each situation then, boat, water, great storm, sleeper, someone's sleeping in the boat. There's an effort to do what you can do. Finally, you wake up the sleeper, and in Jonah's case, they wake up the sleeper, and they are going to say to him, who are you? Where are you from? He says, this is on account of me. And he says, throw me overboard, and it'll be all right. And they aren't about to do that yet. They've thrown tackle and everything overboard, the cargo, and so they're going to try again, and then finally they're going to say, okay, we toss you overboard. And there's the way the Hebrew says is the water quits moving underneath them, and then there's a great fear. Who is this God who's so concerned with this one individual that he throws a storm like this on the sea? And so it says they fulfilled their vows. So they'd taken vows, if we get out of this, may we're going to offer this sacrifice. And so they're going to fulfill those vows to the God of Israel. But a very different situation here when the sleeper is awakened. Lord, don't you care that we're going to perish? And he stands up and he's going to say, oh, you of little faith. And then he speaks a couple of words. Peace, be still. And there's a great calm. And then there's a great fear. And they say, who is this man? That sets us up for what we looked at yesterday, right? This is in chapter 4 of Mark. Who is this man? And we're going to be asking that question along with them. Chapter 5, we hit the eastern shore, and we saw from the lips of an unclean man who he was. Chapter 6, chapter 7, chapter 8, we've got the feeding of the 5,000, the feeding of the 4,000. We're having evidences that this one is more than what he appears. And so chapter 8, the answer comes. Who do men say that I am? And who do you say that I am? So you can see how Mark is leading us to that central position in the book. The two other events on the lake are going to be the walking on water. So after the feeding of the 5,000, the master sends them out in the boat while he dismisses the crowds. And I think maybe this northeasterly comes up and starts to drive their boat back this way, because he sends them on a little jump over to Bethsaida. And the storm comes up and starts to drive them away from Bethsaida. And while they're straining at the oars, they see this movement on the waters. And here it's the master walking on the water. The other event on the sea, I believe it's, one second here.